Good evening. I'm Tom Conrad, the Superintendent of Schools of the Nauset School District, and welcome to Superintendent Spotlight, a half-hour show dedicated to different programs at the central office and different people who work there. Tonight's guest will be Giovanna Venditti, and welcome, Giovanna. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Superintendent. Thank you.
And Giovanna has a very, very important job for us at the central office. She's in charge of all the money, or, as we know, the Director of Finance and Operations. So, Giovanna, how did you get to Nauset?
Oh, it's a long story, but I'll make it brief.
No, that's okay. It's all yours.
I worked for an urban school district in Rhode Island, and when they filed, when the city filed for bankruptcy, they combined the school into the bankruptcy proceedings. Therefore, the receiver wanted to consolidate services, so he eliminated my position so that there will only be one finance director between the town and the school. And so I searched for another position, and I'd go online every morning, and finally I found this one, and I was like, oh, but it's like, oh, it was kind of far, and I'm like, oh, I'll wait a little bit, I'll look for something closer. And then, a week went by, I'm like, it was still there. I was like, you know what, let me send in my information, and the rest is history.
And you were the chosen one.
I was chosen.
Had you been to the Cape before?
Yes, my family and I would summer 1 week a year here. We would go to South Yarmouth and stay at the resorts there. And the kids were little; they had a great time. And I never thought that I'd be back. When I was a little bit older, to work here full time, and it's been a joy.
Yeah, and you had some experience in the private sector as well.
Yes, I was the controller for a pretty large CPA firm in Rhode Island, and I was there for 14 years.
Wow!
And so a lot of the experience from there, I was able to carry to the school districts. So it's been a really good career.
So let's talk about what you do at central office.
Oh.
And let's start with the operations. And I know that you're involved with the buses.
Yes, transportation is a big piece of my job. We handle all of the bus routes at the beginning of the school year. We field calls from parents who would like to have their bus stops changed for whatever reason. And my assistant, Sandy Foley, handles all of those phone calls, and she does it so well. She helps the parents in any way that she can, and if we can't help the parents, we'll tell them, well, we can't change the stop because these are the reasons why. But for the most part, we try to accommodate the parents so that the kids get to school on time and they have a good experience.
I was surprised when I took the position as superintendent that we didn't. This district has never had that I'm aware of, a transportation director. That's you, right?
That's me, yeah.
And so you're involved in the daily operation of the buses and so forth, and you work with our vendor. How many buses do they provide for the district?
Right now we have 31 buses.
31 buses.
31 buses, a couple are spares in case one breaks down, but we shouldn't have those problems going forward. We have brand new buses, 31 new buses in the lot, and I believe they're all in service at this time. So
the new fleet is on the road.
The new fleet is on the road, yes. They look beautiful, nice and bright yellow, very nice.
And because the old fleet was getting very tired.
It was very tired. Every day there was a bus being towed away because they were old, they were tired, they needed to be replaced. So
yeah, and Giovanna, that your work with this takes a great deal of time in the summer, doesn't it? I mean, you're working on routes and things like that.
We're very busy during the summer. In conjunction with first student Dick Smith, he'll handle all the routes. He has a list of all the students, their addresses, and he has a computer program that does all the routes for him. And then we post them on the website, and then parents are always anxious, when are they coming up, when are they coming up? So we do post them a week or so before school starts, and then if there's any errors, we update them. So Sandy's been working very hard since they were posted. So hopefully things will wind down now that school has started and we're in November, so any problems should be very few.
The money.
Yes.
Budgets, and you're responsible for overseeing all of the money parts of our operation.
That's correct.
And that includes the elementary schools and the 2 schools in the region.
Correct.
And so just a ballpark figure, how many millions of dollars are you overseeing for us?
About 50 million.
$50 million. So that includes all the financial needs of the elementary schools.
Correct.
And the region and the central office.
Yes.
And so forth. So to our viewers, I'm not sure whether or not that's surprising to them, but to me it was that $50 million is a major, major responsibility. And so let's break it down and talk about how that happens. The first part of it is that everybody works on a budget. Each school has its own budget, and each school in the region, the middle school and the high school, has a budget. And then the central office has a budget as well.
Yes, we do.
What's your role in all of that?
I coordinate everything. I work with the principals. We've been having meetings. They come in. We look at salaries. Salaries comprises about anywhere between 80 to 90% of respective budgets. We look at staffing. We look at their expenses, what they're going to need to run the school effectively the next year. We look at utilities. It's like running a small business. So we're running each school as a small business, and we look at all the different aspects in order so that the school runs efficiently, and they have all the resources needed for the upcoming school year.
And what is the budget season, if you might say? When does it start, and when do we hope that it finishes?
It started last month. We started meeting with all the principals, and it'll go right up until when everything is approved in May at the various town meetings. So
you're really heavily involved from October to May.
We're extremely busy.
All the twists and turns of developing the budget, and then it eventually goes to the school committees.
Yes, they'll be getting their budget books this month. It'll be the first draft. We'll walk through it the first night that they receive it, because it's overwhelming. They need a little bit of time to digest everything, dive into it deeper, probably at the next school committee meeting. But we'll go through each section, identify any changes from the last budget, any increases, and we'll explain why there's those increases. And we get to a bottom line, and then it's like, okay, now let's go line by line the next meeting. And the principal plays an important role in this, because they're most familiar with their building and their needs, and so they'll answer a lot of questions, and I'll be there to answer any questions that the principal can't. And it's truly a team effort. You can't do it alone. There's a lot of components. There's the salary component, which comes from HR. There's the utility piece. We have a consultant that's been helping us, and then the secretaries play a huge part in it as well, because they know the needs of the buildings. So it's a lot.
So let's talk about that whole makeup, because when I came to central office, although I've worked in the district for many years in another position, I knew it, but I didn't know it. And I believe we have 17 people who work at the central office in general, and a number of them work under you, don't they? You have.
Well, I say we work together. We work together as a team. Yes, I have my assistant Sandy Foley, who's going to be retiring this month.
We're going to miss her.
We're going to miss her terribly. Yes, so she'll be retiring, and she's my right-hand person. She handles a lot of the transportation. She handles a lot of the procurement aspect of the job, where we do all the paperwork necessary to bid projects, capital projects. We've had quite a few of those, and we continue to work with that. She handles all of the purchase orders for utilities and anything that is district-wide, she handles for us. She fields questions from the public, from parents. I also have the Assistant Director of Finance and Operations, Jim Nowak. He's heavily involved in various MSBA projects throughout the district. He also handles all of the nuts and bolts to the financial package that we have to keep track of all this money, because it's a onerous a job to do so. We also have Abby Fernandez, who handles accounts payable for us. And she does a lot of reconciliations. She's tremendous. We have Marianne McGuire, who's the food service bookkeeper. She's also going to be retiring this year. So we have a lot of things going on in central office. She handles all of the food service expenses, along with Sue Murray, the food service director. We have payroll. Susan Wallen handles all the payroll for the district. So that's a tremendous responsibility. We also have human resources. Carol Forgione, who's been here. It seems like she's been here forever, but it's about, I think, 3 months. So she handles all of the HR pieces. What else do we have?
And Joyce does some work with the POs and so forth?
Joyce does a lot of the purchase orders and the
Corey reports? And
yes,
things
she
like
does
that?
queries for us. Yes, so she's the receptionist. She's in front. We also have the treasurer. We also Bill Dugain. We also have Barbara, who comes in and helps with the budget books.
So you have a lot of, well, it seems like a lot, but considering that you're staying on top of $50 million and it's dispersed in all kinds of different ways, from payroll to purchase orders to capital projects, and then obviously all the benefits packages for the employees.
Yes, between Susan Wallen and Carol Forgione, they handle all the benefits for the region. The benefits for the respective towns are handled by the towns. Yeah, we've got a lot going on.
So let's talk about some specifics of the budget and things that you're watching for us. Now, capital. Now, for many of our viewers, I'm not sure they realize that we have an operating budget and we have a capital budget.
That's correct.
And maybe you can describe the difference between the two of them.
Well, the capital budget, each year the towns earmark, I think it's about $480,000 for those projects that we can't handle in the operating budget, because it would take away from resources for the children. So, for example, we have a line item for technology. Technology would encompass smart boards, anything to do with the infrastructure. We also have, I'm trying to think from memory here, we have a category called general repairs. Should anything happen during the school year that's not earmarked in any of the budgets, say the hot water tank went, well, we could use those dollars to replace the hot water tank. We also have, we had money earmarked for the tennis courts, the paving. So we did all of the bid documents to put that out for bid so contractors could bid on it. And then obviously we look at the bids that come in, and we're hopeful that we have a low bid, so we award it to the lowest bidder. So we do all of that. We set up all the contracts. We ensure that all the vendors doing work for the district have insurances in place. The quarries. There's a lot. There's a whole list of contracts. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. You just see the final product, but everything that goes on behind the scenes, it's okay. Let's get this. Let's get that. And is everything in order? And when can they start? So there's a lot of coordination on our part.
I mean, that's the piece of it that I think sometimes people watching projects go on think it's just a matter of getting a vendor and bringing them in and getting the work done.
No.
But it's literally weeks to get things organized in terms of following the state laws.
That's correct.
In terms of making sure, and it's as straightforward as doing Corey checks on anybody coming onto our campuses.
That's correct.
And then, of course, the whole bidding process.
Yes.
And then prevailing wages.
Prevailing wages, yes. And also, I have to give a shout out to the head custodians, because they do a lot of the work for us, getting scope of work. Okay, what do you want done? Let's get some scope of work, because we need that in order to put that into our bid documents. So there's a lot. And when I say my team is quite large, but everyone has a piece that they do, and it seems to all come together very smoothly. As
you're describing this, Giovanna, I can envision this wheel with a hub in the wheel, and you're that hub. And everything eventually comes back to your office somehow.
Yes, it does.
And you must have hundreds of binders in there of keeping track of all this material.
As a matter of fact, we do.
The interesting piece is that a number of years ago on that capital money for the region, it seemed like we always got to the end of the budget process, and were we going to be able to afford textbooks or some things for the classrooms, or in some cases fix the roof. And so the towns were, as you mentioned, so generous about giving us the opportunity to have a capital budget in the region and so forth. In the towns, it's a little bit different, though. We deal directly with the towns with capital items and so forth.
Yes.
And they're partners with us in terms of taking care of their facilities.
They take excellent care of their facilities. The facilities here in Nauset are immaculate. You know, coming from an urban district, you know, it's unbelievable. Very the cleanliness. It's great.
Yeah, and so the capital's there to take care of the buildings, the grounds, big projects and things
Yes.
like that. And of course, the operating budget has to do with the operation of the learning.
Correct.
What's taking place every day in the classrooms, on our campuses and things like that. What are some of the challenges that you face from year to year in terms of that whole budget process? I would think, first of all, time.
Yes.
And you are known as one of the people at the office that work tremendous hours for us. It's endless, I would think, from your standpoint.
Well, we do what we have to do in order to get the job completed, and you know we do it all for the kids. We don't have a one-on-one interaction with the kids, but we're behind the scenes to ensure that they get a great education and everything goes smoothly. They don't know all what goes on behind the scenes, so we're happy to do it.
And you have to continue to go to conferences and workshops and so forth because it's ever changing, isn't it?
That's correct. There's always something that's coming up. Jim and I attend a lot of the MASBO meetings with our other colleagues from
And what
across
would
the
that
table.
be? That's a
Massachusetts Association of School Business Officials.
I see.
And we share best practices. If there's anything going on with you know, money coming to the district, we keep up to date on that. We also do a lot of professional development. So there's a lot.
And you and your team, on certain occasions, are involved in big projects, hopefully for the district going forward. And one is a renovation project potentially for the high school.
That's correct.
And where is that at?
We submitted a statement of interest with the MSBA to take a look at our high school campus because it's showing its signs of age, and there's things that need to be upgraded. And we felt that submitting a SOI would help us not only financially, but it would bring the school up to the 21st century.
Well, you know, as we've worked on this, and so the viewers understand, our campus is now in the 40s, age-wise, and I want to thank the taxpayers. They were very, very generous and spending millions of dollars to redo all of our roofs and replace all of the windows on the high school campus. And the state came in and looked at the structures of our buildings and found them to be very, very sound. And there is a desire to get at least another 20 years out of this campus. And so that's some of the thinking of the renovation project.
Yes.
And so how heavily involved will you be in that whole process?
Oh, Jim and I will be heavily involved in that process, so we're looking forward to it. Hopefully we'll hear something soon. We submitted the application last April, so we're hopeful that we hear something. If we don't hear anything this year, then we'll submit again. So that'll be the process.
And so once that starts, you've been working with the subcommittee on capital to begin to look at how would we move forward with a feasibility study.
That's correct. We have a tremendous committee that's been with us now for a couple of years, and they're heavily invested in doing what they can to ensure that the campus is upgraded and serves the needs of the students and the community.
There's been a lot of discussion at that committee on so many of the districts in our state are looking to just, in many cases, tear down and build new. That's not really the approach that this district's going to take.
No, no. We want to keep what we have and renovate it.
So Giovanna, so far the viewers have heard about all this transportation responsibilities. They've heard about the capital budget. They've heard about the operating budget. They've heard that you're overlooking $50 million on a yearly basis and so forth. What do you think that is one of your greatest challenges in this job? Well,
there's many challenges. I think every day that there's something new. There's It's not the same, every day. Every year is different. I enjoy coming to work. I work with a tremendous group of professionals, and this is a really nice place to work.
One of the questions that, and sometimes we deal with some local contractors and things like that, this prevailing wages, and I would think that anybody in the business clearly knows that, but I don't know about our viewers. What is prevailing wages?
Prevailing wages are the wages that need to be paid when you're working on any public building. So usually we'll have a set, and it's pretty thick, and it's all of the different fields. I mean, it covers everything: carpentry, plumbing, electrical. There's cleaning. There's a lot in there.
And those are set by who?
That's set by the state.
The state. I just got the updated rates and so forth, and thankfully I didn't print it out because it was massive.
Yes, it is.
And so you're responsible for making sure that those are being followed on projects?
What we do is we attach a set to all the bid documents when we put it out for bid, and contractors are aware that they need to pay the prevailing wages, they need to keep detailed records, and those records, the weekly payroll records, those are submitted to us regularly so that we can attach that to all our projects.
And I would assume there are times when it's audited by the state to make sure everyone's following the wages and so forth?
Right, so we want to make sure that all of our backup documentation is in place, so if the state does come in to look at anything, we have it all there.
And so you mentioned that you had started already in the budget process.
Yes.
And so what can you tell us how the budgets are looking so far? Don't give any trade secrets away.
I didn't bring anything with me.
No, that's all right. But in general, the principals are working hard for us.
Principals are working very hard. Or we're looking at creative ways to make sure that these budgets come in within the town guidelines. Some are, some aren't, and we have explanations as to why they're not.
Sure.
And that's something that we'll go over when we present the budget.
Sure. One of the challenges, of course, is that with the leadership of Dr. Coretti, our head of special education and so forth, we've made a tremendous effort to keep our students home and not place them out and have them traveling lots of miles to get to different facilities and so forth. And that at times can be costly. And so that's an area that you're watching for us all the time.
Yes. Yesterday I met with Dr. Coretti to look at the region out-of-district placements, the placements for the Cape Cod Collaborative, and also the transportation costs associated with transporting to and from some of these placements. So, some years it's very challenging. Some years, it's less. Students age out or they move to a different district. But that's a challenge. That's probably one of the biggest challenges within the budget. That transportation, utilities.
The interesting piece is that when we talk about transportation, we have a separate transportation piece for the special needs program.
Yes, we do.
And who do we use on that?
For the special needs transportation, we use the collaborative, Cape Cod Collaborative. And
because they're involved in some transportation now across the Cape, and some on the island, I understand.
Yes, they do. And
so that's another piece for us to look at in terms of getting the best price we can for that transportation, because that's a big item for us as well.
Yes, it is. We are part of the collaborative, so the increase from year to year will vary anywhere between 3 to 5%. Usually we budget for 5, and it comes in about 3%.
You did some homework for me over the summer, and particularly as I wanted to understand some more information about our fixed costs in the budgets. Our labor costs are significant.
Yes, they are.
In each of the budgets, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Like I said, usually the salary piece comprises anywhere between 85 to 91% of the operating budget, so that doesn't leave you much for the other costs to run the schools.
Sure, so and that's a piece that we provide, and you're working on a budget book at this time.
Yes.
And what, just in general, not every page, but the general thrust of what that book provides people.
Yeah, each budget book will have, major accomplishments from the past school year. Those are in there. Also, we have information on enrollment. We have the budget piece. We have lots of pictures of students engaged in learning. There's a letter from the superintendent in there.
Yeah.
It's a really nice book that all the school committee members receive, and then we have it on our website.
And so that'll be up on the website.
That'll be up on the website soon. If you want to look at prior budget books, they're on there. But as we go through the budget process, we'll put a draft up, and then we'll take it down, and we'll have multiple versions until we get a final budget. But it's all on the website, and if anyone has any questions, they're welcome to call, and we'd be happy to take their phone call and answer any questions.
Wow. Well, Giovanna, I can't believe the show's just about over.
Oh my
at
goodness!
This point. And maybe I can have you back and talk about the dashboard reports and some other things that you brought to our district. The work you're overseeing the food services program for us.
That'll be a whole session.
I know. That would be an interesting piece for
Yes.
the viewers to hear. And I want to thank you. I mean, you have a big piece of what's happening at central office, you personally, and overseeing so many of the people that are working with you, as you say, your team. And I think the viewers have learned a lot today about how big the operation is, and $50 million is a lot of money.
Yes, it
and
is.
you do a fantastic job at what you're doing.
Thank you.
So I want to thank you for coming on the show tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And I want to thank you for everything you're doing for all of our system each and every day.
Thank you.
And to our viewers, I want to thank you for watching this evening, and I hope in some small way we've been able to give you some information about what's happening with Giovanna and the operation down at central office. And thank you and good night.